Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Liam Hemsworth. Thanks to Miley Cyrus's new hit song Flowers, it's been number 1 on the Billboard for 3 weeks, and because the song is so popular, it resurfaced a couple of clips that shows Liam Hemsworth visibly cringing at his ex-wife Miley Cyrus on the red carpet during interviews. In one video, Miley could be seen twerking on Liam at a Vanity Fair Oscars after party in February of 2019. As the two were being interviewed, Liam then backed away quickly and looked incredibly uncomfortable as she danced for the cameras, to which he responded by saying, "Don't do it, don't do it, you're scarring everyone on the red carpet." Miley then immediately stopped and glanced awkwardly at the camera. In another clip uploaded, the couple could be seen attending the Avengers Endgame premiere, and the singer tried to pose cheekily with her husband, and she made this move to lick his neck, and Liam was displeased and told Miley to behave for once. And when he went on to cling onto her waist, she seemed to be very annoyed at his gesture and pushed his hand away, which resulted in him walking away while she continued posing on her own. Number 9, Dakota Johnson. What was supposed to be a sweet mother and daughter moment during the Oscars red carpet show ended up becoming one of the night's most awkward interviews, when ABC host Laura Spencer asked the actress Melanie Griffith if she was going to see her daughter's racy movie 50 Shades of Grey. The actress would then quickly respond no before her daughter Dakota Johnson scowled and said, "Maybe one day." However, then her mom would respond by saying, "I don't think I can. I think it would be strange. Well, she's a good actress. I don't need to see that to know she's good." The subject was obviously still a sore subject and the sticking point between the pair, as Dakota then jumped into a pouting teenager for a moment before snapping at her mother by saying, "Alright, you don't have to see it, Jesus Christ." The uncomfortable exchange between the two then set social media on fire, inspiring some harsh criticism and some pretty serious tweets. However, near the end of the night, Melanie would opt to tell Dakota that she would watch the film just so she could smooth things over between her and her daughter. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Shailene Woodley. So during most interviews, Shailene Woodley is always known for being really blunt when it comes to her answering questions, especially when the questions make her feel uncomfortable. During one incident on the red carpet, Shailene had a pretty awkward encounter that caused her to be dumbfounded when it came to the reporter's question. In the interview, the reporter looked at the actor and then out of nowhere asked her if she was hungry before noting that she herself was hungry. Shailene then reacted in a way that was pretty awkward and rude in the moment, as she looked at her interviewer like she was crazy and said, "Well, you should probably eat." I don't think any of us really blame Shailene in this situation for being rude, as it was such a weird question and comment to come from a reporter. Not to mention, there were so many questions that the reporter could have asked her, but she chose to ask the actor if she was hungry, because you aren't going to get a genuinely nice answer to that question. Number 7, Selena Gomez. During a red carpet interview in 2017 Billboard Woman in Music event, Selena would be asked about how Justin Bieber impacted the person she is today, and the singer and actor responded by being a little standoffish when she said, "I don't think anyone else cares. I think for me, what's been great is that I've been able to live the life I wanted for myself, and it doesn't always look the way people think it should. But it's not really my concern anymore. Look, my family is great, my health is great, I love deeply, and that's just who I am. I'm not really ashamed." While the actress claimed that no one really cared about her and Justin's relationship, the Twitter reactions would definitely prove otherwise to Selena's response, as one fan would say, "Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber will definitely last this time if they're both on the same page romantically." And then another fan would note, "So as dumb as this sounds, I'm so happy when I heard Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez are back together. It's that relationship I basically grew up with and I feel as if I'm invested in. My heart was so full when I heard the news. Even today, people are still fond on the idea that the former couple may cross paths yet again in the future, and it's gotten to the point that every time Justin is happy with another woman, his fans still chant Selena's name." Number 6, Jim Carrey. Back in 2017, Jim Carrey was clearly just really bored, so the comedian decided he would randomly show up to a New York red carpet event. While on the red carpet, he made his way to a reporter, and then he ended up telling her that the only reason he he showed up to the event is because he was trying to find the most meaningless event he could attend. If the interview wouldn't get any more funnier due to his odd behavior, he then went on this really weird rant where he stated that icons and personalities don't really exist by saying, "I don't believe in icons, I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality and invitation in disguise, beyond the red S on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself and I don't care." He then turned into one of his comedic characters before walking away when he came to the conclusion to his rant and said, "We don't matter." Number 5. Kim Kardashian. Back in 2019, Kim Kardashian awkwardly interrupted her older sister during an interview on the People's Choice Awards red carpet. When anchor Juliana Rancic asked Kourtney Kardashian who designed her bra-bearing glittering suit, she began to say she didn't plan her answer in advance, but then she was cut off when Kim decided to lunge in front of her and start to hype their new fragrance collaboration by saying, "All that matters is that we're wearing KKW Diamond. We're all wearing that." She then went on to tell Kourtney, "I was saving you since you didn't know who you were wearing. That was my save." Kourtney then went on to correct Kim by saying, "No, it was Naeem Khan. I just didn't know how to pronounce it." Despite the awkward moment, Kourtney didn't appear to mind the publicity, but Kim didn't need to interrupt her sister's interview to support her new line, as the world was already talking about it. Number 4. Jennifer Lawrence. So back in 2012, Josh Hutcherson was in an interview on the red carpet for the Catching Fire press tour when Jennifer Lawrence thought it would be a good idea to punk her co-star while he was in mid-interview by asking him how his rash was doing. Later, Josh would then open up about the incident on the Late Night with Jimmy Fallon, and there he would reveal that Jennifer had this history of punking him, and while making rounds on the red carpet, he then admitted at one time mid-interview she breezed past him and asked him, "Hey Josh, how's the rash doing?" Josh then looked extremely embarrassed before he went on to note that Jennifer was actually really crazy. The reporter then went on to question Josh about the incident, and he said, "Oh, my rash, yeah, my rash is doing fantastic. Don't worry about that. I love Jennifer." The actor was obviously really uncomfortable with Jennifer's uncalled move. Now he wanted to end the interview and opted to say, "I gotta go back to take care of the rash," before running away from his interview. Number 3. Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is known for speaking her mind, so back in 2013, after she had a mouthful to say after a not-so-good interview with Access Hollywood's correspondent, Laura Saltman, the Anaconda rapper would then throw some serious shade at the reporter on the red carpet after Laura asked the rapper about her recent Twitter rant, which included catty words about fellow American Idol judge Mariah Carey, and she snapped back and refused to answer the question. When Laura asked, "Are you looking forward to the end of American Idol? Because I know there were Twitter comments you made today that caused quite a stir," Nicki would then respond by saying, "That question didn't even make sense, so if you want to insinuate what you're talking about, I'm not going to." Before Laura could even respond, Nicki would then roll her eyes, say goodnight, and walk away. In light of the diss, Saltman then decided to express her feelings in a blog posted to Access Hollywood's website, where she labeled Nicki as a mean girl and cyberbullying, perpetuating the problems of social media. Number 2. Amber Heard. Back in 2015, Amber would be captured giving her mom a stern lesson on the red carpet about the rules she has to follow as her mom joined her at a glitzy film premiere. At the time, Amber was still married to Johnny Depp, and she decided to bring her mother along for the ride at a screening of Johnny's new flick at the time, Black Mass, at Toronto's International Film Festival. Her proud mom then watched from the sidelines as Amber oozed in this striking black dress in front of the camera. However, the actress was less than impressed when she spotted her mom talking to a nearby cameraman. In a video captured, the star's mom could be seen in the video identifying herself to a man from Kiss 92.5, where she proudly gushed, saying she was Amber's mom. Amber then stormed towards her mother and interrupted the interview, and in the video you could see Amber's face. It was so stony that she may as well have been embarrassed by her mom in front of friends at a playground. ground. She then quickly grabbed her mother, gave her a warning by saying never make eye contact. And coming in at number 1 today, we have Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman wasn't necessarily rude, but she did get a pretty funny response from Tom Hiddleston when she briefly interrupted him during an interview at the Golden Globes one year. Tom was in the middle of his interview talking to Liza Koshy about one of his shows, and Nicole decided to insert herself in between Tom and Liza and then quickly said, "That's enough talking." While Nicole was clearly just pulling Tom's leg, at first he was a bit taken back by Nicole's actions, and it did take him a bit to notice that Nicole was doing a quirky little bit. Once the actor realized Nicole was only joking, he then quickly joined in on the fun. He then conducted a quick impromptu moment in the interview with Nicole, and it was definitely a moment that was awkward for a second, but then everybody laughed it off.
Number 10. Zac Efron. Zac rose to fame as a Disney darling, playing the leading role of Troy Bolton in the popular High School Musical series. Since his Disney days, Zac has lent his face and voice to several projects, but the red carpet event that we're talking about today was for the animated Dr. Seuss movie The Lorax, which Zac, who voiced the main character of the film, was walking the red carpet when he suddenly handed his assistant something from his pocket. As he handed them the product, something fell out of his pocket and onto the carpet. Now that something is a word that I can't say online. Let's just call them love tubes. Love tubes. I like that. Zac's love tube wrapper was flat on the carpet right there for the world to see. He quickly picked it up, but the damage had already been done. In the first interview following this incident, the interviewer asked Zac if there was anything unplanned that had happened. He then explained that this was a complete accident. There was no pre-show pocket check or anything that could have prevented it. Well, Illumination did not like that excuse, and they also didn't like their main star being associated with such an adult product. So, when the plans for a Lorax sequel were brought to the studios, Zac's name was left out and replaced by somebody else. I guess whoever they picked wasn't famous enough though, as the project was ultimately shelved by the studio, and thankfully Zac found work somewhere else. In Baywatch. Number 9. Taylor Swift. If there is one thing that should be known about Taylor Swift, it's that she can end an entire career with one single conversation. In 2015, Taylor was on the red carpet for the Grammy Awards when she was interviewed by a woman from Entertainment Tonight. The interviewer started the interview by asking her cameraman to pan up and down and literally checking her out as this massive camera just followed her. You know, that's not weird at all. After going along with the bit for a bit and telling the camera about her dress, the woman who was interviewing her said that she honestly just wanted a shot of Taylor's legs because she said before the show that Taylor is going to be going home with more than a trophy. Maybe a man. Ooh. Taylor didn't appreciate that comment or that assumption. She did not laugh and proceeded to tell her that she would be going home with no men, just hanging out with her friends and then home to her cats. While the majority of the interview went well, the interviewers were reprimanded behind the scenes by Taylor herself. The news of Taylor's dislike for them made its way up to the top, where the ET executives decided to keep him off the red carpet from now on. Keep your creepy camera gestures to yourself, lady. Number 8. Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler's comments about the upcoming live-action Snow White remake could have a huge impact on ticket sales, according to brand experts. The 22-year-old actress has received plenty of backlash after she admitted that she hated the original 1937 movie and branded the storyline as weird, while referring to the Prince character as a straight-up stalker. The backlash occurred after several videos of Rachel speaking negatively about the original film in various interviews last year resurfacing online, where when she spoke about her version of the character, she said that she is not going to be saved by the prince and that she is not going to be dreaming about true love. As well as being labeled a fake feminist, some critics have accused Rachel of gaslighting, and one marketing consultant has warned that Disney will need to be very careful with how they have portrayed Snow White. Snow White has already been suffering from lots of backlash well before Rachel made her comments. Peter Dinklage spoke out about Disney not using true dwarf actors for the new film, instead opting to use heavy CGI on Hollywood elites. Rachel's role as Snow White is in the air as of filming this video, because thanks to her comments, the studio is rethinking the situation. While the film is set to release in March of next year, the writer's strike may be the exact moment that the studio needs to recast and rewrite its oldest character. Number 7. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey is known for his hilarious personality on and off screen, but he gave Kat Sadler from E! News and Daily Pop a very awkward interview on the red carpet at Harper Bazaar's party in 2017. The interaction started with Jim slowly circling Kat as she attempts to express her confusion and excitement. Jim Carrey was at a Fashion Week event. Was the man known for being an incredible artist, bringing his talent to the fashion world? No, he was just really mad about stuff. By 2017, Jim had made a name for himself as an oddly serious man who tended to venture into the realm of energies and universal concepts when getting into deep conversations. He started the conversation with, "This is meaningless." And then he continued to say that he wanted to find the most meaningless thing that he could attend that evening. The event was a celebration of icons and celebrities, according to Kat, to which Jim said he did not agree, as in he didn't agree with the concept of icons. He continued to give a small speech about not believing that people truly exist, and that we are all just a field of energy, and that peace lies beyond personality, man. The entire time this interview is taking place, Kat is visibly uncomfortable, just counting down to the moment that Jim says something funny or even remotely related to fashion. Instead, he just shares his thoughts, tells her that she has a nice fragrance, and walks away. While Jim's career had already started to slow down at that point, the clip became viral and studios were wondering if he was going to be a good fit for anything anymore. Many scripts with his name on them were rewritten or simply just kept to themselves, right up until 2020 when he made a small comeback in the surprisingly fun Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Number 6. Will Smith. That's right, Will Smith is on this list for hitting somebody, and it's not Chris Rock. Today we're talking about an incident on the red carpet that left one paparazzo with a massive red mark on his face and a fired sign stamped on his forehead. Will was walking the red carpet giving people interviews when a Ukrainian comedian named Vitaly Sedgwick approached him, a man who is unfortunately world famous for being an absolutely disgusting person towards celebrities. He pretended to be a reporter and began interviewing Will Smith. He suddenly pulled Will towards him and tried to kiss him on his cheeks and mouth. Well, Will obviously did not like that and shoved him back and gave him a little love tap. Just a little backhand to the face. A team of security following Mr. Smith picked this guy up and carried him away like a little toddler that he was. Who knew Will was practicing for his Oscar slaps all the way back then? Sedgwick was finally reprimanded for his actions, and he was actually made to pay a hefty fine for attempting to force himself on Will Smith. Needless to say, that guy works for himself now. Number 5. Hugh Grant. In 2013, the world was gifted with an awkward interview between model Ashley Graham and Dungeons & Dragons star Hugh Grant. Ashley was trying her best to give a good interview and asked Hugh the hard-hitting questions, like who was he wearing? Was he excited to be there? Did he hope anyone he knew won? You know, good old generic questions they tell you to ask on the first day of work. Hugh was not budging, to the point where she just kinda gave up and let him loose. One of her last questions to Hugh was regarding his cameo in the Netflix film Glass Onion, which he said was barely a full day on set. The incident sparked a ton of backlash, mainly aimed at Hugh for making Ashley's job more and more difficult. But then the narrative switched to, why wasn't she asking him better questions? ABC decided to give the hosting gig to somebody else for next year's Oscars, and it's looking like she won't be making any more interview appearances anytime soon. Number 4. Amy Schumer. In the mid-2010s, comedian Amy Schumer was named one of Time magazine's top 100 most influential people and was made to attend a red carpet event to celebrate with her fellow influencers, two of whom were Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. Now, while discussing the incident on the Graham Norton show, she revealed that there was a planned prank on Kim and Ye. Her goal was to get them to crack and smile and get some good fun pics for the event, but Kim and Kanye did not find this situation funny and continued to walk past her as she fell in front of them. Like she just followed forward trying to make a nice little thing out of it. While the moment was meant to create a fun scene, it instead made Amy look like she had a grudge towards Kim and Kanye. While not an interview, the incident on the red carpet did force Comedy Central to postpone a season of her show until things were sorted out with Kim. It turned out that not only did Kim not care, but she did end up finding the incident kind of funny in the end, with these two apparently now being close friends, and Amy even made a cameo on Kim's new reality series, The Kardashians. Number 3. Rashida Jones. The star of comedy giants like The Office and Parks and Rec is an expert at evading uncomfortable and just strange questions. During the Screen Actors Guild Awards in 2015, she was being interviewed by TNT's Danielle Dembski when the actress was told she was very tanned. While Rashida replied with a small pause and then told the reporter that she was ethnic, so, you know, duh. Danielle burst into laughter before ignoring the dumb question and moving on, but TNT did not forget. Her producers made it very clear that she needed to do more research before making comments or asking questions to anyone on the carpet. According to TNT, she was let go after the meeting went south and Danielle didn't realize what she had done wrong. Gee, let me think. Number 2. Silke Sibbin. While attending the Dutch premiere of his rom-com Music in the Lyrics, Hugh Grant, making another appearance, got the shock of a lifetime after a fan got a little bit too excited and took their admiration to a whole new level. Television journalist Silke Sibbin approached Grant and he thought it was an interview, but then she handcuffed herself to him. For about 10 minutes, the patient but frustrated Grant was just waiting and watched as several onlookers started snapping pictures left and right. After the fire department finally released them, Sibbin was taken by police. And while this may have seemed like your average Hollywood interaction, the news station that she worked for did not appreciate this gag and she was fired immediately. And at number 1, Ryan Seacrest. Ryan was the man with the mic for a very long time, hosting not only talk shows, but reality game shows as well. Eventually though, he found a nice comfy gig interviewing celebrities on and off the red carpet. In 2018, things changed drastically after allegations of misconduct were brought forward by a former female employee named Susie Hardy. Susie was his personal hairstylist and the job was perfect for a very long time. But according to her, Ryan became very aggressive on several occasions, claiming that the only reason she never said anything was fear that she may lose the financial stability that the job had provided for herself and her daughter. In 2013, the situation finally ended when she expressed her concerns to someone at Human Resources and her employment was terminated. Now, while this was happening, Ryan was still employed as a host and a presenter, so he took to the red carpet that year to interview celebrities and he was met with cold shoulders and sarcastic comments. After the red carpet event, the decision was made to put Ryan on hold for a while until the investigation into the allegations were complete. 3 months later, they concluded that there was insufficient evidence to prove the claims and Ryan got reinstated. I'm not sure why a single mom would lie about something like that. I'm pretty sure Ryan's hiding some shady stuff, but who knows for sure? Do you?
Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Isaac Mizrahi. While Isaac Mizrahi was acting as an interviewer for E! On the red carpet for the Golden Globes, he would have a troubling interview with Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett, who was attending as a supporting actress nominee for Match Point, would be left feeling shocked after Isaac decided to touch her chest in the interview because he wanted to know if the actress had a bra under her stunning red dress. As he gave it a quick squeeze, he would then say, "I'm just taking notes for next time I make a..." Then he would be cut off by Scarlett, who said, "What is going on?" And then she said, "Absolutely take all the notes you want." The actress then later said, "Oh my god," while Isaac did later apologize for offending anyone. The Academy of Motion Pictures of Arts then had to issue their own statement when they said, "I can predict we would be extraordinary angry if that happened on our red carpet. I cannot predict what we would do afterwards." Number 9. Kesha. Remember that time when Jerry Seinfeld savagely refused to hug Kesha during a red carpet interview? Not once, not twice, but 3 painful times. It was truly the stuff of nightmares, but watching it from the comfort of our own homes made for some great laughs. Although Kesha was silent about the issue for some time, she would come out in 2017 to break the silence on what happened after she rudely interrupted Jerry in an interview to ask him for a hug. Jerry would then later sit down for an interview with AJ Calloway where he explained that he didn't hug Kesha because he simply didn't know her and admitted, "I'm 63. I don't know every pop star. I have to meet someone to say hello. Gotta start somewhere." For Kesha's part, she remained pretty quiet on the whole issue as she was presumably recovering from all the overwhelming embarrassment of being rejected so publicly like that. However, a day after the video went viral, she did post an Instagram photo of her cat with some pretty suggestive hashtags. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and, subscribe to the channel. Coming number 8, we have Tommy Lee Jones. When Joan and Melissa Rivers were asked who their least favorite person to interview on the red carpet was, they didn't have to think twice before responding and they both ended up saying Tommy Lee Jones. In 2013, HuffPost Live asked the famous mother and daughter duo about their worst celebrity interview and Melissa immediately said Tommy Lee Jones, to which Joan responded by saying, "Oh, with out of question. HuffPost then went on to ask the pair to elaborate on the assertion, to which Melissa went on to know he's at the top of everybody's list. He doesn't want to be there, he's unhappy doing the red carpet, and he's going to make everyone else around him just as unhappy in the experience. Joan then would go on to sum up the issue nicely by saying, Jones went to Harvard and is very impressed by that accomplishment. She then went on to say, we all went to Ivy League schools, calm down. Number 7, John Travolta. In 2015, John Travolta once again became the talk of the Oscars after he had a pretty off encounter with Scarlett Johansson that had some of us scratching our heads. Scarlett, who co-starred with John in the film A Love Story for Bobby Long, told the Associated Press that the picture of him kissing her on the red carpet was taken out of context. She then went on to say there is nothing strange, creepy, or inappropriate about John Travolta. The image that is circulating is unfortunate, still framed from a live action encounter that was a very sweet and total welcome. She then went on to add that the photo did not reflect the live moment and that we were all being misguided and misinformed, and that she hadn't seen John in some years and it was always a pleasure to be greeted by him, yet her face in the photo said otherwise. Number 6, Ryan Seacrest. In 2019, Grammy viewers would slam Ryan Seacrest for his awkward Lady Gaga red carpet interview. When Ryan tried to interview the superstar, he didn't so much ask her questions as he just chose to speak to her. And when Lady Gaga did try to speak, Ryan would just end up cutting her off without even giving her the chance to speak properly. He then went on to tell her that she should be performing at the Oscars, for which she is a multiple nominee for, and she responded by saying, that was like, answer my question, but I'm not asking one. Ryan then tried to recover from the interview, but then made an awkward joke about him not asking her questions before saying they were cutting to break. Gaga was a good sport in handling the awkward interview, playing along with his joke that carried on for way too long as there was a delay in going to the advertisements. Before the interview was over, she did pull a host of awkward faces before eventually hugging Ryan and leaving. Number 5, David Lee Roth. In 2019, David Lee Roth had a pretty bizarre red carpet interview that taught us all that you can either wear all sorts of outlandish things or nothing, and you can also be as provocative as you want in the name of artistry, and flaunt your questionable decisions all over social media. The king of being completely insane during the red carpet interview will always go to David Lee Roth. David, who was set to perform at the Billboard Music Awards, was being interviewed by E! On the red carpet special. During the interview, he would start out on solid footing, discussing Van Halen's dance influence and how what they did in the 80s has informed today's pop music, which was okay. But things took a quick turn when he decided to quickly go off the rails, and somehow West Side Story, Lowriders, and David's abundance of black and Hispanic friends all came up. The whole interview was just him inspiring to get on Miley's level of interviews, and it was just completely weird. Go give it a watch. Number 4, Tiffany Haddish. When Entertainment Tonight's Lauren Zima seemed to have accidentally called Tiffany Haddish's new Oscar after party dress a costume change, things quickly went south, and when Tiffany fired back at Lauren saying, I'm not wearing a costume, I'm wearing Dolce & Gabbana, the actress was clearly not done firing back at the reporter when she then went on to educate her on costumes and outfits by saying, it's called an evening gown, darling. No one is paying for this. I paid for it. It's custom. Thank you. That's when the reporter jokingly announced it was her time to pass away, pretended to faint in an attempt to ease the tension, and Tiffany's response, may I add, was, this is what fame looks like, this is what success looks like, this is what money looks like, and yeah, the moment is just as brutal to watch as you would expect. And take notes, because if it's not Halloween, it's not a costume, and you definitely don't want to make the same mistake unless you want to be embarrassed on the red carpet by some of Hollywood's biggest stars. Coming number 3, we have Jack Harlow. Jack Harlow once left Emma Chamberlain in a pretty awkward red carpet interview. That became one of the most hilarious and viral moments of 2022 when Emma, who is a big YouTuber, was interviewing Jack Harlow for Vogue. What started off as a pretty interesting interview would then randomly turn a different way when Jack decided out of nowhere that he was going to hit her with a totally random love you, and then he quickly turned away and left the interview. Now you're probably wondering what happened next. Well, as the rapper walked away, the camera would zoom in on Emma and it would give us a glorious image of her staring into space and questioning her entire reality, which was honestly a 10 out of 10 reaction, but considering their age difference, the gesture was just completely weird. Number 2, we have Sutton Stracke. Okay, we all know that there's no one more dramatic than the Real Housewives cast, as they always seem to do shady things at the most random times, like the time Sutton Stracke showed up to the People's Choice Awards in 2022. And just like the shows, she brought some drama. When the interviewer asked her if she would like Lisa to return to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, the reality TV personality definitely didn't have anything nice to say. She then chose to look at the reporter in the camera in total silence. And she stayed like this until the reporter moved on to the next question. It was a question she actually wanted to respond to. The reporter then went on to the next question by saying anyways. But just before, if you caught a look at Sutton, you would see that she was baffled and she looked pretty mean and scary to the point it would have caused any reporter to end the interview and move on to the next star. It's safe to say that Sutton doesn't really like Lisa and doesn't want her to return to the show anytime soon. And coming at number 1 today, we have Sacha Baron Cohen. When he showed up to the red carpet dressed as his character from The Dictator, his look was completely pushing boundaries as he proceeded on the red carpet accompanied by female bodyguards and an urn which he stated was filled with Kim Jong-un's ashes. While the whole interview and actions were very off-putting and not really professional, things took a quick turn to the worse when he decided to accidentally dump the material all over Ryan Seacrest's Burberry tux. While everyone was shocked at what actually happened, Ryan Seacrest actually showed the world what a true professional he is, and he brushed it off. And
first up, we have Saoirse Ronan and the awkward mistake. As a journalist, it's your job to get facts as correct as possible, but sometimes during certain circumstances, it's easy to get lost in the sauce. At the 2016 Oscars red carpet, an ABC News journalist was speaking to Saoirse when she had stopped to wave at someone, who happened to be writer Nick Hornby, who she had worked with for the film Brooklyn. She was nominated for Best Actress for her role in said film. The reporter confused the small interaction as something between family members and assumed Hornby was her father. When asked, Ronan obviously confirmed that he was the writer and not her father. It was a mild slip-up and not a big deal because, things like that happen. Honestly, this taught me to never assume and stick to my script or whatever to avoid any awkward run-ins like that. Next in line, we have Scarlett Johansson and Ryan Seacrest. Johansson was being interviewed at the 2017 Oscars red carpet when she was asked about her shoes. To clarify, Seacrest was asking if she had worn the heels she was wearing to the Oscars rehearsals that they have for the presenters. She responded with, "What a ridiculous question to ask," as it seemed to be so random for her. But Seacrest explained that he was asking because he had heard that fellow actress Halle Berry had done it. She accepted his response and continued to explain that she did not wear the heels, opting for comfortability. Up next is interviewer Jess Cagle calling Hidden Figures by the wrong name. It was around this time in 2017 when people were calling Hidden Figures Hidden Fences. The mistake started back at the Golden Globes when the movie Hidden Figures and Fences, very separate movies, were said in the same sentence, and that's how the mistake was made. The internet was already preparing themselves for reporters to make that same mistakes at the Oscars, and they were right. Editor-in-chief of People magazine, Jess Cagle messed it up when trying to compliment it as extraordinary alongside the film Moonlight, and was quick to correct himself, but it happened, and Twitter was there for it. Coming up is Tiffany Haddish's ultimate fangirl moment. So imagine you're at the Oscars and your idol is there. What do? Would you wait until they're within your closest vicinity, or do you seek them out? Tiffany Haddish was a woman on a mission as she wanted to greet Meryl Streep. In a video taken at the 90th Academy Awards, you can see Haddish waiting outside of the rope that was meant for the designated red carpet. With Streep just meters away, she probably contemplated her options before just going for it and climbing over the rope. I forgot to mention she was in a beautiful long gown as well, so to be able to witness that in real time must have been hilarious. Streep was seemingly preoccupied as Haddish steps in and literally blocks her path. The two make eye contact and they hug while exchanging words that are hard to make out. But nevertheless, Haddish got to have her chance with Streep and it was everything. I know some people would think this to be rude, which is why I included it, but Hey, you do it too. Next on the list is Sacha Baron Cohen and his urn. Cohen arrived at the red carpet dressed head to toe in his costume for his character Admiral General Aladdin. He arrived with staff personnel, 2 women who were obviously paid actors, and a cremation urn. Aside from his outfit, he was also completely in character too. You know, that method acting really helping him out here. He was being interviewed by Ryan Seacrest, and Seacrest played into the bit as well. As he explained why he brought the urn, he inconspicuously lifted it and let it spill all over Seacrest. Clearly, it was a setup, probably some sort of marketing strategy from the movie's team. Up next again is Tiffany Haddish and her interview. She looked stunning in her custom-made green gown when a reporter asked if she had done a costume change. Perhaps slightly put off by the term costume, Haddish goes off to explain that it was not a costume but a luxury Dolce & Gabbana gown. The reality of the awkwardness sets in as the reporter tries to stealthily move on, but Haddish wants to reaffirm herself. She continues saying, "It's called an evening gown, darling." Watching the clip, you can tell the reporter regrets everything as she continues to play cool and admits defeat, but the damage was done and Haddish was not. She explained that the dress was paid by herself and that was what success looked like. Coming up is Zuri Hall blanking out at the red carpet. Like I said, the hustle and bustle of these types of events are the partial reasons why reporters tend to mess things up. And it's fine, we're all human here, which is why I think E! News reporter Zuri Hall can back me up on that statement. She arrived at the 2017 Oscars red carpet in a beautiful sheer and feathery dress. Perhaps it was so beautiful she ended up forgetting who actually designed it. Is it disrespectful to forget the name of the designer? I think it's an honest mistake, but that doesn't take away the minor embarrassment she probably felt while that was televised across national television. Up next we have Ashley Graham's interview with Jason Momoa and Lisa Bonet. Momoa and his wife showed up to the 2019 Oscar Awards when it happened. When they were interviewed by model Ashley Graham, she requested that he give her a haka move. Haka refers to the many ceremonial dances from the Maori people. Momoa is immediately hesitant and it doesn't go unnoticed by Graham as she eggs him on to do it. Bonet is clearly unimpressed, offering some type of explanation that you can't hear what she's saying, but her husband cuts it off and gives Graham what she wants. The internet was not happy with this exchange. One user called her corny while many others said that she was disrespecting his culture as he is from Hawaii and not New Zealand, where the Maori culture originates. At least he's familiar with some of the customs though, as he explained in a completely separate interview unrelated to the Oscars that his family's roots go back and forth from Hawaii and New Zealand at some point. Regardless, Graham pushing him to do that wasn't a good look for her. Coming up are the South Park creators and their red carpet looks. Creators of the hit cartoon comedy, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, confessed to everything that went down that evening in the year 2000. To put it shortly, they did not take anything seriously, despite Parker being nominated for an award. The original plan was to dress up in duck costumes, but out of fear they would be denied entry, they went for dresses to blend in with everyone else. So that's what they did. They dressed up in their dresses that were nods off to outfits Jennifer Lopez and Gwyneth Paltrow had worn previously, and to top it all off, were also extremely under the influence. They explained even stepping out of the vehicle was an experience due to their incapacitated state. They managed to get through the carpet and the interviews. They were smart and had it all planned out, vowing that they don't acknowledge the dresses, and if they were asked to divert and avoid it at all costs. Next up is Dakota Johnson, low-key snapping at her mom. During the 2015 Academy Awards, Johnson brings her mother, fellow actress Melanie Griffith, as her date. Knowing Johnson and her collected bluntness, what happened shouldn't come off as surprising. While they were being interviewed together, Griffith was asked if she had watched her daughter's movie. She declined, saying it would be strange. The movie in question? 50 Shades of Grey, and we're all aware of the nature of that film. So to not want to see it for those reasons as a mother, it's totally understandable. Johnson cuts in and said it would be fine and she'll watch it one day. After all, it's just a movie since everything is fictional. When the reporter accepts this answer and reaffirms how well her daughter did in the film, Griffith continues and says, "Well, she's a really good actress, I don't need to see it to know how good she is," which sparked mild irritation from Johnson, who gets a little snappy and says she doesn't need to watch it.
At number 10, we have thinking Kate Hudson won an Oscar. In the world of Hollywood, winning an Oscar is one of the biggest career-changing moments. So when ABC reporter George Penicino said, "Kate, you know what it's like to win an Oscar," to which she was uncomfortable and replied, I've never won an Oscar. For some background information, Kate Hudson starred in movies like Glass Onion, Mother's Day with Jennifer Aniston, as well as How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. So I can understand why he thought she would have won. But when you're an interviewer, it's important to have a base of knowledge on the people who are going to be there, so as to not embarrass yourself. And this was no exception. Thankfully for George, he wasn't fired because of his little live television slip-up, but it's safe to say that he has learned his lesson about making assumptions.
Number 9. Zac Efron's love tubes. Zac rose to fame as a Disney darling, playing the leading role of Troy Bolton in the popular High School Musical series. Since his Disney days, Zac has lent his face and voice to several projects over the years, but the red carpet event that we're talking about today was for the animated Dr. Seuss movie, The Lorax. Zac, who voiced the main character of the film, was walking the red carpet when he suddenly handed his assistant something in his pocket. As he handed them the product, something fell out of his pocket and onto the ground. That something is a word that I can't say online, so let's just call them love tubes. Zac's love tube wrapper was flat on the carpet right there for the world to see. He quickly picked it up, but the damage was already done. In the first interview following this incident, the interviewer asked Zac if anything unplanned had happened to him recently, and he then explained that it was a complete accident, that there was no pre-show pocket check, anything that could have prevented it. Well, Illumination didn't like that excuse, and they also didn't like their main star being associated with such an adult product. So, when the plans for a Lorax sequel were brought to the studios, Zac's name was left out and replaced by another star. I guess whoever they picked wasn't famous enough because the project was ultimately shelved by the studio, and Zac was able to find work somewhere else. In Baywatch.
At number 8, we have Jim Carrey's existential rant. Jim Carrey is a character who has had many varying roles. From the Grinch in the iconic live-action version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, he was in The Cable Guy with Matthew Broderick, and he most recently played Dr. Eggman in the live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movies. His IMDb spans on and on, but something important to know about him is that he had really bad depression, and really let himself go over the years. One of those moments, we really saw how the mind of a genius works was when he was on a rant during an interview at the 2017 Harper's Bazaar Icons party. No one really knew why he showed up in the first place if he was so unhappy to be there, but former E! reporter Kat Sadler came up to him to ask him questions. He leaned into the mic and he said, "There is no meaning to any of this." When she asked why he was attending the party, he said that he wanted to find the most meaningless thing he could come to and join, and there he was. Sadler tried to pry about other things and what the term icon meant to him, but he continued to spew existential nonsense that made everyone uncomfortable aside from him. It may not have been gross, but his career did begin to decline, both before and after this.
If there is one thing that should be known about Taylor Swift, is that she can end entire careers with one conversation. In 2015, Taylor was on the red carpet for the Grammy Awards when she was interviewed by Entertainment Tonight. The woman who interviewed her started the interview by asking her cameraman to pan up and down, literally checking Taylor out with this massive camera. It's not weird at all. After going along with the bit for a moment and telling the camera about her dress, the interviewer said that she honestly just wanted a shot of Taylor's legs because, as she said before, Taylor is going to be going home with more than a trophy. Maybe a man. Well, Taylor didn't appreciate that comment or the assumption. She did not laugh and then proceeded to tell the interviewer that she would be going home with no men, just hanging out with friends, maybe some of her cats. While the majority of the interview went well, the interviewers were reprimanded behind the scenes by Taylor herself. The news of Taylor's dislike for the interviewers made its way up to the top, where the ET executives decided to keep them off of the red carpet for a while. Remember, keep your creepy camera gestures to yourself, lady.
At number 6, we have David Letterman with Jennifer Aniston. David Letterman used to be the host of The Tonight Show before Jimmy Fallon took over. He's also a comedian who was successful for many years, and some comedians can take a sketch too far, or commit to a bit that makes people uncomfortable. And that's exactly what happened to a young Jennifer Aniston while on the show with him. They were making conversation, as one does, but then he got up and tried to eat her hair. I understand that you can really like someone as an actor, but when you are actively trying to eat their hair on live television, that is just too far. However, like the the true professional she is, she let him. And there are photos out there of David Letterman leaning over Miss Aniston with her hair in his mouth.
Number 5, John Mayer. John may be known for spending time with the ladies, but it's not all peaches and cream. The musician was doing an interview with Playboy magazine in 2010. Now I know it involves Playboy, who are notoriously provocative, but even they thought this interview was just a bit much. John gets into some pretty graphic depictions of things that he wanted to do to Jessica Simpson, using language that cannot be repeated online. But he then ventures off the physical intimacy thing and instead begins to speak about his, and I quote, hood pass, claiming that he had become so popular among black people that he could get away with anything he wanted, and he then called it the N-word pass. Yeah, not a great moment for this guy. Following the interview, fans were beyond upset at his behavior and his attitude towards women and honestly just people in general. Many turned on John, making a massive dent in his career, rightfully so, and nowadays this is one of the only things that he is remembered for. Well, that and his really bad cameo in Get Hard.
At number 4, we have Jay Leno questioning Kanye West. Jay Leno was the host of yet another late night show, and back in 2009, he had Kanye West on his show. You see, the event that caused this was Kanye West interrupting young Taylor Swift's mid-acceptance speech for the best music video, I might add, to say that Beyonce had the best music video and should have won, in front of an audience on TV. For some context, Kanye's mother had passed away in 2007, just a couple years prior to the incident. Jay Leno knew this, and he said that he was fortunate enough to have met his mother. So, Leno, in a very disrespectful fashion, asked Kanye if his mother would have been disappointed in him for doing that, and asked if she would have lectured him. You can see how shocked he is and how hurt he is hearing those words. He almost had no response. Whether or not you're a fan of him, that was still so unprofessional and cruel.
Number 3, Amy Schumer. In the mid-2010s, comedian Amy Schumer was named one of Time magazine's top 100 most influential people and was made to attend a red carpet event to celebrate with her fellow influencers. 2 of them were Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. While discussing the incident on the Graham Norton show, Amy revealed that there was a planned prank on Kim and Ye. Her goal was to get them to crack a smile and get some good fun pics from this event, but Kim and Kanye did not find this situation funny and continued to walk past her as she fell in front of them in a dramatic fashion. The best picture is just Kim staring at Amy for a moment being like, okay, and then just moving on. While the moment was meant to create a fun scene, it instead made Amy look like she had some kind of grudge against Kim and Kanye. While not an interview, the incident on the red carpet forced Comedy Central to postpone a season of her show until things were sorted out with Kim. Well, it turned out that not only did Kim not care about this, but she did end up finding the entire thing funny. With the two apparently now being close friends, Amy even made a cameo on Kim's new reality series, The Kardashians.
At number 2, we have the Marvel interview. I use such a vague title because there is a lot to unpack about this interview with Robert Downey Jr. He had a very rocky upbringing, and he was involved in a lot of illegal activities, had substance issues, and has an internet-famous mugshot. But he's been clean for years, all thanks to his wife. So when the man doing the interview for a Marvel movie pressed about his past, it made him very uncomfortable. And it wasn't just asking some surface level questions, he asked about his relationship with his father and mentioned how he has opened up about his issues with liquids and substances in his upbringing. He then went on to ask RDJ if he really thought he was free from all that, or something you think about. This was when RDJ cut him off, left the room, and walked away from the interview. Imagine the audacity the interviewer must have had to even think about asking Robert such a thing, and even though he had been clean for so long and had finally gained the confidence to speak up about it.
And at number 1, Will Smith. That's right, Will Smith is on this list for slapping someone, but it's not Chris Rock. Today we're talking about an incident on the red carpet that left one paparazzo with a massive red mark on their face and a fired stamp on their forehead. Will was walking the red carpet in 2013 giving people interviews when a Ukrainian comedian named Vitaly Sedgwick approached him, a man who is unfortunately world famous for being an absolutely terrible person, especially towards celebrities. He pretended to be a reporter and started interviewing Will Smith, but then he suddenly pulls Will towards him and tries to kiss him on his cheeks and his mouth. Well, Will obviously shoves him back and gave him a little, "Hey bud, no thank ya," just a little backhand to the face. A team of security following Mr. Smith picked this guy up and carried him away like the toddler he was. Who knew Will was practicing for his Oscar slap all the way back then? Sedgwick was finally reprimanded for his actions and was actually made to pay a hefty fine for attempting to force himself on Will Smith. Needless to say, that guy works for himself now.